Jews are always other. We always have been, and I think we always will be. And when people talk about racism, Jews just don't come onto their radar. Most of what I'm exposed to is online. Quite dramatic things ranging from "it's a shame we weren't all gassed," all the way to an obsession with the Israeli state.
In some parts of Manchester, Labour's anti-Semitism row is looming large. The city is home to the UK's second biggest Jewish population, and anger at the party is easily found in places like Prestwich.
I support the Labour policies generally. It's the anti-Semitic situation that has now caused me to withdraw my support from Labour. I will not return to Labour until Corbyn is removed and we get a more centre-left candidate in his position.
I have received these once or twice over the years, but...
The local MP is Jewish. This week he received a letter through the post.
It says, have you asked yourself why people hate the Jews? You treat the Palestinians like slaves. You kill them by the hundreds, including children. You steal their land. Shame on you. And this is addressed to me.
Ivan Lewis is suspended and sitting as an independent MP while Labour investigates allegations of sexual harassment against him. But he believes this letter is the product of the party's failure to tackle anti-Semitism.
The environment is such that's prompted me to receive such a personal letter as that. I have no way of knowing whether that's a Labour Party member or a Labour Party activist that sent me that letter. I honestly hope it isn't. But of course it's in the current context where the level of anxiety and insecurity in the Jewish community has never been greater.
Manchester is a Labour voting place. All but 2 of its city councillors and almost all its MPs are from the party. I met up in the centre of town with local councillor Sam Wheeler and Beth Redmond, a Momentum activist.
Most people are quite unified. They don't want it in the party. And what they want is a process whereby we can have a fair and transparent disciplinary process.
Some people have been kind of upset and disappointed with how slowly the party's reacted. I do think we're going in the direction at this point, and I do think they are showing leadership over the issue now.
Obviously we know that the Jewish community is very upset about it, but is it cutting across wider than that, do you think, to voters?
It's not come up where I've knocked on the doorstep, but that's not a good reason to not address the issue. It is a terrible thing that the Jewish community in this country are in a position where they feel scared of the Labour Party. That should be heartbreaking for anyone in the movement.
The sticking point has been the party's refusal to adopt fully the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism.
There's kind of larger questions about activism around Palestine and how that definition would work with kind of progressive forces in that arena of politics.
For others in Manchester and beyond, that argument is a non-starter, particularly for Labour activists who are also Jewish.
I openly criticise the Israeli government, and I do so on social media. The definition of anti-Semitism does allow for that.
I think they need to accept the definition. It's up to Jewish people to define what constitutes prejudice against them.
We need to just stop arguing with each other so that we can all work together and we can all campaign and we can elect a Labour government.
Yehudis campaigned for the Labour candidate round here in the local elections in May.
We have a very high percentage of Jewish voters. I think Herzl is 41% Jewish. It came up constantly. Most people that we spoke to said that they wouldn't vote Labour, and the seat went to a Tory.
I think we could also mention Islamophobia in the Tory party, for example. I mean, the comments made by Boris Johnson were absolutely reprehensible. Look, I support the leadership and I support my party. I am not going anywhere. This is my party. I have a home in this party. It's part of me. I am part of it.
I don't see why I should just leave them to it. If I'm here, I can stay and I can fight against it.
In this predominantly Jewish area, Jews and Muslims live side by side. And the local mosque has close relations with its Jewish neighbours.
But what would you point to as being...
Most of the congregation are Labour voters, and here they're adamant the party's rules must allow criticism of Israel.
In general, there is resentment about the Israeli action, also disproportionate action they are taking against the Palestinian community. There is resentment within the community, and then they think there should be more action, and British Jews should be more vocal, some of them who are in terms of criticizing. There is that sort of resentment, but it's not at all anti-Semitic. I think there's a lot of sympathy with the British Jews because of what the Muslim community is going through in here. British Jews are also suffering that kind of right-wing things.
It's easy just to label everyone the same, and that happens same with the Muslim community. People see someone do something stupid, like blow up a train or something, and they say, well, all of you lot are the same, and actually that's not the case.
There are conspiracies, there are things said about Jews that, I don't know, that they run the world, or that they're in charge of everything, or that they're, all in favour of Israel, or whatever. Do you hear those kind of views from your congregation?
Very much. It's just overall there is this thing, so Jewish community is just in there, they're into their minority, but they're holding a lot of power in terms of finance world, in terms of justice system overall. Everybody say, but whole world. But the thing is, our view is that in here we said we need to follow them, and we need to find how these small community have done well. So we need to do that, rather than criticizing them. We also cannot support one religious discrimination for one group, then it will come back to our group or to other minority group. So it's not. The sooner the Labour Party have an open discussion and then have a room for this, it will be better, then it will be more electable.
Newsnight's spoken to other MPs in the Manchester area who told us, certainly outside the Jewish communities, issues over anti-Semitism aren't resonating with voters.
So this is my allotment. This is, I've had it 4 years.
But the row has hit home at Lampett's Lane in South Manchester, where I found Dave Welch tending his plot.
And did you know that Jeremy Corbyn has an allotment?
I didn't know. No, I didn't.
I think he can't spend much time at it at the moment.
Probably not.
A bit busy. Which brings me beautifully round to why we're here.
To the question.
To the question, which is this row about anti-Semitism. Is it something you've picked up?
Yes, because I've got a few Jewish friends who are a bit concerned about it. You should have cramped down on them a long time ago. I think Corbyn's more on the Palestinian side. When he the way he talks about it, and I think he's more on that side than the Jewish.
Would it affect your views of a party if you did believe that they were racist?
Yeah.
So would
We've all got to live together, We've got different cultures on here. It's all as one. We're all the same. There's no difference, is there?
It seems, for the moment at least, many people in Manchester's Jewish community need far more from the Labour Party to allay their fears about the future.
I think you can't ignore what generational trauma is, and it's passed on in our genes. And we don't wait for there to be people marching down the streets in order for us to be thinking about how we might escape. We wait for the tensions and the slight social changes, and that gets our guard up, and that is why the community is reacting in this way, because it's happened in the past, and I don't think anybody can say that it won't happen again.